I didn't think one joke could end a marriage. Not because we were perfect, not because our relationship was unbreakable, but because in my mind it was just words, a silly comment, a moment of teasing. I had no idea that joke would land like a knife. And I definitely didn't expect my husband to stand up, look at me with calm eyes, and walk out like I didn't exist. Before I begin, subscribe for more real-life relationship stories, stories about pride, regret, and the moments that change everything in seconds. If you've ever said something you wish you could take back, this one is for you. It happened at my sister's house during a family dinner. Everyone was there, my parents, cousins, siblings. The living room was full of loud laughter and plates of food. My sister's husband was talking about how he recently scared off a guy who was bothering her at the gas station. People were praising him, joking about him being protective, laughing like it was the cutest thing. Then my sister looked at my husband and teased him, saying, "What about you? Would you protect her if something happened?" And before my husband could even answer, I jumped in. I laughed and said, "Please, he couldn't protect me even if his life depended on it. He's too weak." The room went silent for just half a second, then people laughed. Some laughed because they thought it was funny. Some laughed because they didn't know what else to do. I smiled proudly, like I had just delivered the perfect joke. But my husband didn't smile. He didn't even blink. He just looked at me. And in his eyes, I saw something I had never seen before, like a door quietly closing. People kept talking, trying to move on, but the energy changed. I noticed it, but I still didn't understand the damage I had just done. On the drive home, I kept chatting like normal, as if nothing happened. My husband was quiet, both hands on the steering wheel, staring ahead. I thought he was tired. When we got home, he walked straight into the bedroom and started pulling out a travel bag. I froze in the doorway. I actually laughed a little, thinking he was being dramatic. "What are you doing?" I asked. He didn't look at me. He folded clothes carefully, calmly, like he had practiced this 100 times in his head. "I'm leaving," he said. That sentence didn't feel real. It didn't even register at first. I said, "Stop, are you serious?" over a joke. That's when he finally looked at me. And his face wasn't angry. It was worse than anger. It was disappointment. He said, "You didn't respect me in front of your family. You enjoyed it." I tried to defend myself immediately. "I didn't mean it like that. Everyone jokes like that." He nodded slowly, "And that's the problem. You thought humiliating me was normal." I felt my throat tighten. "You're overreacting." He zipped the bag and stood up. "No, I'm finally reacting the right way." Those words hit me like a slap. Because in that moment, I realized this wasn't about one dinner. This was about years. Years of me joking at his expense. Years of me calling him soft, too nice, not man enough. Years of comparing him to other men, laughing about it like I was harmless. I never cheated. I never physically betrayed him. But emotionally, I had been cutting him down slowly and calling it just teasing. And he had been swallowing it. Until tonight. I stood in the hallway, panicking. "Where are you going?" He said, "Somewhere I can breathe." I followed him. "You're really leaving your wife over one comment?" He looked at me and said something that made my stomach turn. It wasn't one comment, it was the last one. I started crying. I told him I was sorry. I told him it was a joke. I told him I didn't realize it hurt him like that. He listened quietly. Then he said, "That's exactly why I'm leaving. You didn't realize, you never realize." He walked to the door. I grabbed his arm. "Please don't do this, we can talk." He gently removed my hand, not aggressively, just firmly, like he didn't want to hurt me, but he also refused to be held. He said, "I've tried talking, you turn it into a joke, you turn it into me being sensitive, I'm tired." Then he left. The door closed and the house went silent in a way I'd never heard before, not peaceful silence. Lonely silence. At first, I was angry. I told myself he was being dramatic. I told myself men are supposed to be tough, and if he couldn't handle a joke, that's his problem. But that anger didn't last long. Because once the house settled, I started hearing my own words in my head. "He's too weak." I imagined how that felt, being a man, being someone's husband, and hearing your wife say that in front of everyone like she was proud of it. And for the first time, I saw myself clearly. Not as a funny wife, but as someone who enjoyed power. Because when you insult someone who loves you, you're not joking. You're testing how much they'll tolerate. I called him a dozen times, he didn't answer. I texted apologies, no reply. The next day, my sister called and told me my joke was a bit much. Even she had noticed. That made me feel sick because it meant everyone noticed. Everyone heard it. Everyone saw his face. I wasn't just disrespectful. I publicly humiliated him. A few days later, he finally texted, "I need space, don't contact me for a while." Space. That word terrified me. Because space isn't always a pause. Sometimes it's the beginning of an ending. I started thinking about everything I did in our marriage, how I criticized him when he didn't act manly enough, how I mocked his calm nature, how I treated kindness like weakness. I realized something painful. My husband wasn't weak. He was controlled. He was peaceful. He was the kind of man who wouldn't fight in public. And I used that against him. His leaving wasn't weakness. It was strength. It was self-respect. I wish I could say I fixed it immediately, that he came back, we hugged, and everything became perfect. But real life doesn't move like that. The truth is, I broke something that night. And trust, respect, and dignity are harder to rebuild than love. If he comes back, it will only be because he chooses to forgive me, not because I begged. And if he does, then I'll carry this lesson for the rest of my life. The fastest way to lose a good man isn't cheating. It's making him feel small and calling it a joke.